Welcome to the first video in this series, where I will take you into various scenographic spaces and demonstrate different lighting setups for photos and videos. These setups will be simple and educational, using basic lighting gear to showcase how different spaces can be transformed. Today I'm starting with a small office space in my studio, covering an area of about 25 square meters. The room features a single movable wall with a window cutout, and it's open from the front. Whenever I see the window in the wall accessible from the other side, I always go for it, and that's where our setup begins. For equipment, I have three lights at my disposal: the Godox 600D for a strong single point of light behind the window, the Falconized bicolor LED panel for soft light or shadow fill in close proximity, and the Aperture Lightstorm 60X for detail rendering. This is a film studio, so the ceiling is painted grey and most of the furniture is dark to control light spill better. What you see now is the bland look of the space, illuminated by a mix of natural and technical lighting. We start off by turning the ceiling lamps off and covering the windows. The first lamp to be set is Godox 600D with a Fresnel modifier. I positioned it behind the wall to light the room through the window. This is a very characteristic and well-defined look, and you can do a lot in the scene by altering the direction and position of the light source. Initially, I aimed the light towards the person seated in the armchair. It's funny, but this single strong source of light makes this space look so much better than before. It works because of the high light output of the lamp and reflections from the wall filling the shadows. Unfortunately, having put anyone directly in the beam results in overexposure, so it is not a good setup. By tweaking the blinds and introducing haze, we achieved a more balanced and aesthetically pleasing lighting setup. I used a cheap smoke machine, so you will see different levels of smoke in the room, but remember that just before the shoot, the level of haze should be tuned down to your liking or technical requirements. Smoke particles block some of the light and disperse it, so light characteristics change for the better. We still have too much contrast in the image though. Let's add something more. This is a dark office and practicals are a great complement to the whole scene. I've got a nice desk lamp and a small night lamp on the old TVs in the back. The light from these lamps filled the darker corners and also added character to the scene. The harsh lighting from the window can be supplemented by softer light from the side using flex panel. Its light is spread around most of the room and makes it a bit more realistic. I would call this setup usable for both photo and video, but certainly in a real working scenario you would have to look for a good balance between light outputs and tune it to a specific framing. As this video is about having fun with lamps, I additionally put an aperture spot lamp set to a low output near the left side of the scene to highlight the wooden furniture. It makes a subtle change, but it can even out exposure levels in the scene. Depending on the framing, it can make a difference or not. Now let's shake things up and transform this setup for a fresh look. Having only three lights at my disposal, I moved the spotlight and added a cheap projection modifier to create a rectangular light shape that could simulate a light through the door leading to the next room. The modifier limits the light output a lot, so I will have to modify the placement of the rest of the lamps to better make use of that detail. I relocated the flex light to complement the spotlight from the same direction and reduced the output of the lamp behind the window. Lowering light output from the window magnified the impact of practicals and the simulated light from the other room. Now we have a more balanced light composition. The light from the other room guides the eye and highlights specific areas of the scene. If I were to prioritize the TVs in the background as the focal point, I would adjust the lamp positioning like that. Now we have an increased presence of dark areas in the scene, which contributes to slightly different visual narrative. Let's take our lighting setup even further by altering the character of the light behind the window. I added a CTB gel onto the Godox 600D and put a full diffusion frame behind the window. The Fresnel modifier that I previously used took out a lot of output, so I switched it to a standard reflector that works the same thanks to the diffusion. However, this change reveals the diffusion through the window, which can be addressed by adjusting the framing or using blinds to conceal it. For the purpose of this demonstration, I've left it partially visible. I've also adjusted the output from the flex light so it would blend well with the blue light from the window. All footage that you see here is in its RAW format and keeps constant color temperature, so you can see the difference in color characteristics of the scene. Additionally, the aperture spotlight is turned off, as well as the night lamp on TVs. Now I would like to add a bit of color separation from the desk, so I supplemented the light from the desk lamp with the spotlight set to a warm temperature and aimed at the desk surface. This creates a vibrant interplay of light, with the desk now reflecting a warm light that nicely merges with the blue hues from the window. We've explored 3 distinct variations of the same setup, each one defined by the light from the window. For our final transformation, I've switched off the Godox 600D, immersing us in a nighttime atmosphere. To make it more realistic, I turned up the flex light positioned above, simulating some ceiling lights within the room. I've added a bit of haze and turned on all practicals. Now we have a complete night setup that should be usable after the haze sets on a proper level. So that's the end for today. That was the first such video of the series, so let me know in the comments how I could improve this form of video for you in the future. Until next time.